Welcome to a fresh episode of Relationship by Tail Square, where we explore stories and advice sticking on relationship dilemmas. Up next, unpacking a hidden note from my boyfriend's ex. My boyfriend's ex hid a note about his cleaning/dating habits right before they broke up that I just found. How do I talk to him about cleaning habits without him feeling like I'm using his ex's words against him? I, 28F, and my boyfriend, 30M, who we'll call Steve, have been together for 2 years and living together for 8 months. While cleaning our apartment, I found a note in the back of a cabinet. For context, I'll copy it below. Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he never cleaned back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and want to warn you about him. He will not clean. He will not listen. He will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault. He's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him. I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia. Name change. I read the note and showed it to him to hear his response. He immediately ripped it up and said not to listen to it, claiming she was crazy and untrustworthy. I pointed out that the fact he hadn't found it in the 5 years since they broke up was a red flag to me because it means he's never cleaned back there. Plus, I noticed he had been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He insisted that it wasn't a problem before the note and accused me of letting it manipulate and ruin our relationship. We continued to argue along these lines, and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family, gives me gifts and flowers, and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong that the cleaning issue hadn't really been brought up before, but the note made me realize it had been getting worse and that we needed a serious conversation. He texted me later saying he was sorry I felt like I had to leave, but that it was unfair for me to let a note overshadow our 2-year relationship and leave him and our pets alone. I don't know what to do or who to trust right now. I'm contemplating reaching out to Natalia, as her name is quite unique and I think I could find her. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, saying his past shouldn't affect our future. I feel like I might be the bad guy since everything Steve says about Natalia makes her sound manipulative and petty, but I'm unsure. Edit. I didn't clarify enough about the cleaning issues, so here's more detail. When we moved in together 8 months ago, the cleaning was split 50-50. Since then, he's been doing less and less, and now it's about 70-30 or 60-40 if he listens right away. I have to remind him to do things like bring his plates to the sink or take out the trash, which wasn't necessary before. The dishes pile up unless I do them, even to the point where leftover food molds on the plates. I'm not confrontational, so I've been asking him to fix things as they come up. The note made me reflect more and prompted me to have a serious conversation, but I felt he wasn't listening. He got fixated on the fact I was listening to his ex instead of addressing my valid concerns. He thinks I'm letting the note influence my view and making him out to be in the wrong no matter what he says. Update. I took your advice and tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with the note, he seemed to take it as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had prepared a list of specific instances of him not cleaning, as suggested, but he accused me of using lists like his manipulative ex did, so that the crazy ex label you all mentioned turned out to be accurate. When the conversation didn't go anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving, which made me realize it was over. I'm heartbroken, but I'm glad I had this wake-up call before it was too late. I let him cool off, and then asked my brother to help me grab my things while Steve isn't there, as he has a strict work schedule. I plan to leave a note in the same place as the old one, but make it longer and include advice on not showing it to him. If Steve doesn't learn about cleaning, it'll come back to haunt him. The biggest surprise was that Natalia reached out to me. Apparently, Steve used his friend's phone to call her and scream about how she was ruining his life. The fact that he remembered her number even after being blocked confirmed that he was the problem, not her. Natalia contacted me through social media to check if I was okay, and was concerned that Steve might gaslight me like he did to her. I thanked her for the note and set up a coffee meeting for Thursday afternoon. I want to thank you all for your advice. I'm staying with a friend until I find a new place. I'm grateful for my emergency savings and a decent job to help me through this breakup. Final update. As you can tell from my original post, I tend to act quickly. It was a mistake to bring the note to Steve immediately, but it wasn't a mistake to act quickly to save my pets. To those saying I broke up a 2-year relationship over a note and chores, I want to clarify. I ended the relationship because, when I tried to address an unequal situation, Steve responded with yelling and tried to convince me there was no problem except me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after screaming at me. That's not acceptable, and no one should stay in a relationship where conflict is handled like that. Actual update. I texted Natalia last night, and she was pleased to hear from me. She, like many of you, was concerned about the pets. Steve and I bonded over our love for animals, and I thought he was a great guy because he took such care of his lizard. I was wrong. He has a lizard from before we met and we bought 2 frogs together. I have a snake I brought with me. I had planned to wait until he cooled down to retrieve my things and pets, but Natalia advised me otherwise. She said he might become destructive when angry, which made me act sooner. Natalia, a lawyer, informed me that in our state, landlords must allow lease termination in cases of domestic violence. She also explained that Steve's yelling, gaslighting, and preventing me from leaving were forms of abuse. This was hard to accept, but the relationship quiz I took helped me realize it more clearly. Natalia offered to come with me to speak to the landlord alongside my brother. Once the landlord heard the word lawyer, he allowed me to break the lease but said I'd need to pay for all of August even though I was leaving 3 days early. That seemed fair. He also contacted Steve, saying the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance so I could pack up my things. Steve replied that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I arrived at the apartment, it was a disaster. He had broken my dishes and scattered the shards around. My clothes were torn and thrown about. It was heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone but had opened the tanks for the frogs and my snake. Thankfully, the frogs were still in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. I was fortunate to find her hiding safely in a closet corner and was able to pack her up again. All my things are packed, and I'm writing this as my brother drives me back to my friend's house. Natalia told me she left 3 notes, one in the cabinet, one under the vacuum, and one in the crumb catcher of the toaster. We checked them, and while the note on the vacuum was still there, he had cleaned the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. We decided to leave the vacuum note as is and replace the cabinet one. I didn't want to leave my name, so I included a handout on healthy versus unhealthy relationships and a QR code to the quiz that helped me. Natalia said if he didn't find the notes in those 5 years, especially after moving, he probably won't find them again. Given he had found one but didn't clean the rest of the house, I agree with her. To those who think it's trivial to end a relationship over chores and a note, I encourage you to reflect on how abuse can start subtly. This Reddit thread and the resources provided helped me recognize and escape an unhealthy situation before it escalated further. I also scheduled a therapy appointment. Thankfully, my job offers good insurance, so I'll work on setting boundaries and addressing my people-pleasing tendencies. As for Natalia and me, we had a good laugh about the idea of us getting together romantically. She's engaged to a wonderful man who embodies the qualities I hoped for in Steve. I'm hopeful for the future and value the friendship I gained with Natalia, especially as a fellow snake owner. This is my final update. I hope my experience helps others recognize the signs of abuse and understand that you should never settle for less, especially when it comes to your well-being and the well-being of your loved ones. I26M found her 28F TikTok after we went on a date. This is honestly not something I expected to post about, but here's the thing. I have known this woman 28F for a while since we are in the same friend groups. She's a nice person, attractive, and honestly, I've always enjoyed my talks with her. A few weeks ago, I26M asked her out on a date. I figured, if she says no, it's fine. But she actually agreed. We went on a date this past Saturday and honestly, I thought it was awesome. We went out to dinner, had drinks, spent the rest of the night talking, and we even took a walk on a walking bridge over the town's lake. It's not a big one. I dropped her off and was elated. I absolutely loved the night. However, that night when I was scrolling through TikTok on my bed, a post from her, I didn't follow nor knew she had a TikTok, appeared on my For You page. Essentially, she said in the post, "Getting ready for a date I really don't want to go to." That was like a bucket of ice water being thrown on my head. I was so excited, and I just found out she didn't even want to go on a date with me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying she has to want it, but please let me know if that's the case. We don't need to go out. We can forget I even asked her out, but doing this on the internet, it made me self-conscious. Not sure if that's the right word. Now, I'm unsure about what to do. Should I tell her I saw this or just forget about it? Honestly, it really hurt me, and I'm not really sure I want to give this another try. I mean, she didn't want to go out with me in the first place, right? Update, a week later. Hello everyone. Some people have reached out to me through comments or chat, asking for an update on the situation. Sadly, there isn't much to share at the moment, but I'll provide what I can. Please keep in mind that I won't be discussing this further, nor will I reply to comments. Thank you for your understanding. After last week's post, I read almost every comment, or at least most of them. I'm thankful to all those who commented and shared a bit of their own personal story. Some people mentioned that anxiety is normal and feeling like not going out is definitely common, suggesting that I shouldn't look too much into it. While I agree with their perspective and see no fault in not feeling like going out, what bothered me the most in this situation was having to post a TikTok for a significant audition. I'm a private person by nature, and even my social media accounts, like Instagram, have only a single post. I don't really like to overtly share, nor do I want to be with someone who does. It's completely fine to share whatever you want. I just don't want to be a part of it. So I decided not to contact her. I chose to pretend I had never seen the post and let things be. I understand a lot of people might think this isn't the best choice, but I feel it is the best course for both of us. Last Thursday, a few friends, who also happened to know her, invited me for drinks. We went to a bar, and while we were eating and enjoying our drinks, a mutual friend asked me how my date went. As our circle was aware that we were going on a date, I didn't want to say much, so I just replied, "Oh, it was good, but I don't think we clicked." This friend followed it by saying, "We figured," which made me feel rather uneasy. When I asked what he was talking about, he hesitated but eventually said that they had seen a TikTok post from her about not wanting to go out. At this point, I didn't really know what to say. This situation is just incredibly messy for me, but there's not much I can do about it. Still, I wasn't going to mention it, nor did I try to look up if there was any update on her part. In fact, I deleted TikTok after that incident. It just wasn't doing me any good. Nevertheless, this past Saturday, she sent me a text. She mentioned that she enjoyed our date and asked if I wanted to go out again. I understand that she clearly stated that she enjoyed our time together. However, I don't want to be with someone who exposes so much of their personal life. It's not something that would be good for me, so I decided to tell her the truth and sent a text explaining that while I absolutely enjoyed our date, her company, and that I thought she was an amazing woman, her post from the night of our date came across my For You page on TikTok, and it made me feel really self-conscious. While I understand that she enjoyed the date, contrary to what she felt at the time of the post, I didn't feel comfortable going out with someone who had such a high level of exposure online. I wish her the best and express hope that she finds someone whose lifestyle aligns with hers. She has read the message and left me on read ever since. I don't think she will reply, and I don't think we'll have a lot of social interactions going forward. I'm sorry if this wasn't the update you guys were expecting, but yeah, sadly, that's what the situation became. Anyhow, wish everyone a good day. My 22F brother-in-law, mid-30s, is on Grindr. My sister has been married to him for 10 years and dated him for 2 years before getting married. My best friend is gay, and he found his account on Grindr. He took screenshots and sent them to me. My sister and her husband have such a great relationship. I don't know how this could have happened. Even I can't believe this. I am so scared, and I know the right thing to do, but I don't know how I will go about it. I love my sister and I know this will crush her. They seem so in love and I don't know how I can show this to her. I am just really scared on how I will go about this and could use some advice. Update, 2 days later. I decided to just tell her as quickly as possible, so I called her and asked her if we could meet for coffee and she agreed. I showed her the screenshots and she wasn't surprised. The first thing she said was that he still isn't using the picture she took for him. She said she knew about it and that it was not something I needed to worry about, but she thanked me for bringing this up. She then changed the topic and we drank coffee. When I was about to leave, she went quiet and then said that she wanted me to know it is not something she was bullied into and she didn't mind it at all. She said she had other partners too and that she is asexual. I told her that it was very different from the image they projected, but it was not my business and all that mattered was that she is happy. It is pretty weird as I saw them as the old school puppy love kind of couple and it is wild that they date other people but at the same time, but she seems happy in content. I think nothing else really matters.